I want to explain why I still believe in quant, even though nothing I say is financial advice. However, when it comes to maybe the idea 2000, again, I'm still thinking about that. And this is even considering if, like, let's say there is a fully fledged type of altcoin season during the cycle. But then even beyond that, before I get into that, I do want to talk about the fundamentals of the quant network, which I think, to me at least, I find very fascinating because I feel like sometimes people take a look at quant and then they don't really want to focus on the fundamentals, but I do like it because the quant network, it's made up of the Overledger OS and the Overledger network. The reason why I like this is because before I get into the Overledger network, I first want to explain the Overledger OS because I think it's going to make it easier to understand later. When it comes to the Overledger OS, it allows something called a multi-chain application to be built. The reason why I find this very fascinating is because what it does is that, again, it allows an application to be built on multiple blockchains instead of just one, hence the name multi-chain application. The reason why I think this is pretty cool is because imagine, right, let's say I'm a developer and I want to build on a certain blockchain. Sure, it may be nice, it may be cool, it may have some advantages, but I haven't found a perfect, blockchain, right? So there might be hypothetically some disadvantages there. Now, what's a way to supplement that? Now, traditionally, again, developers, they just build on one blockchain and then that's kind of it. However, imagine if, let's say I can build an application, I'm just going to use this as an example, right? That takes advantage of the security of the Bitcoin blockchain. However, at the same time, also taking advantage of the speed of the Stellar blockchain. I'd find that pretty interesting, actually. And that is why I find a multi-chain application so interesting. Again, sometimes people like to say, oh, if it's so cool, if it's so interesting, why isn't the popularity, the best? I'm totally aware of that. But again, if I just take a look at that, even if, let's say, this was something that just I recently discovered, let's say it wasn't even popular at all, even just the concept behind it, I would find so fascinating already. But again, I'm not speaking on anyone's behalf. This is the way to take a look at it. Now, when it comes to the Overledger network, it's made up of the Overledger OS users, and on there, these Overledger OS users can share their data, their apps, their resources, and monetize them. So again, when it comes to the Quant network, I find it actually not something overly complicated, and I like that. Quant may be at the idea 2000. Market cap at that point would be around 24 billion considering current circulating supply, and that's around a 19x from here, or should I say, just for simplicity's sake, to round up a little bit, around a 20x. To me, if Bitcoin went to 300 grand, that's less than a 3x from here. If Ethereum went to 10 grand, that's less than a 3x from here as well. That doesn't really excite me. Now, again, when I say this, some people like to say, oh, then if you like hypothetical upside so much, take a look at this microcap. I'm totally aware that Quant is not going to be the best thing out there in terms of hypothetical percentage price increase. I'm totally aware of that, let's say, arguably in the next 6 months. Now, when I say this, some people might be thinking, okay, why wouldn't you mind? Well, it's because I'm not looking for a microcap. The way I take a look at it is that for one microcap that really makes it, there's a bunch that don't, right? It is just not something I want to focus on. However, at the same time, less than a 3x, it also doesn't really excite me. So something like this does fit what I'm looking for. And that market cap right there, around 24 billion, we've seen Dogecoin exceed that by around 60 billion back in 2021. Again, in terms of market cap, something that wouldn't necessarily surprise me, but again, the reason why I still believe in Quant is because I like the fundamentals, and again, I just think it's pretty revolutionary in my perspective. However, whenever Quant, or just let's say this whole altcoin space, decides to have that next leg up, it's going to be beyond my control. I have no control over that. The only thing I have control over is myself, and the only thing I can do is just believe in the projects that I do believe in, dollar cost average, hold, and I just wait. And again, literally just staying patient for a moment in time and maybe does something. That's pretty much about it. And again, I'm not speaking on anyone's behalf, but that is just my viewpoint when it comes to Quant and why I still believe in it. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's Mali the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.